And we're going live. And good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good whatever the heck it is, wherever the heck you are, ladies, gentlemen, any other people. Oh look, we've got an ad showing up, so I guess there's a delay, so that's cool. So you'll see me. I'm commenting on the ad, which is what I'm seeing over here. Welcome everybody who's already in the chat. Wow, Sarah, Imagine Yoshi, Vanilla Studio, Waifu Chucky. Did we change Waifu? It is you, Waifu. Okay. All right. We've moved on from Pennywise to Chucky. Oh, you fickle, fickle young people. Rodney Brown. That is who I am. Editor-in-Chief, Nerd Caliber. And I'll give you an interesting promo about the website very shortly. First-person shooter as a cosplay photographer on Facebook. Burly Adopter on Twitter. Burly_Adopter on Twitter. I don't know that there's another one, but there might be. And a couple other things, a couple other places. And joining me tonight, yes, we've got three opinionated people here for your pleasure. Since she just waved, introduce yourself if you would, oh behatted one.
Oh, hello. My name is Gogo Incognito. I've been a long-time Nerd Caliber collaborator. And I'm a cosplayer and Nerdlesque superstar. And I think we're going to do shout-outs at the end, but I'll just say that anybody who's going to be in Seattle for ECCC, E3,
Yeah.
Emerald City Comic-Con, I have to get this right. But anyway, talk to me, because we're going to meet up. I'm going to take your picture. Or I'm going to find you someone with Nerd Caliber who is.
So since we're doing promos, Gogo will be taking pictures at, do you know what your booth is? Where you'll be working?
At WonderCon?
Or oh, no, WonderCon. You're right. My bad. You're going to be at 2.
I'm working at WonderCon, so we're going to get back on that when I have more information.
Yes.
Emerald City Comic-Con. Is that E3? No.
No, they don't do like EC3, which they could. They just ECCC.
ECCC. For that, I'm going to be, because I think we're going to have somebody out there, right, from Nerd Caliber.
Yes. Dave Brewer, if you know him on Instagram, Evil Dirty Dave, will be out there. He's been out there quite a few years now. Loves it out there, even though he is from about as far away from there as you can get. He is, Emerald City is in Seattle. I keep confusing with Portland because Dave lives right outside of Portland, Maine, on the other coast. But he just loves Emerald City. It's one of his favorite cons. Anyway, Dave Brewer will be there. Gogo will be there.
And we'll hopefully link up, and we're going to make a thing. It's going to be a thing, and it's going to be amazing.
It will. Now, before we get to our next introduction, boy, you people are coming in fast and furious. Super Mario Jesus. Praise and welcome. Mario World and Sonic World. Welcome, welcome. Willie Rosato, welcome. I love it. And also joining us in the fabulously seasonal sweater, if you would, sir.
I mean, you've got a nickname like Wonder Llama, you have to wear a sweater covered in llamas. Did you just literally put that together?
Literally just saw that. Deadpool face.
Well, it's when you lifted your pectorals up that we got to see the llamas in their full glory.
Exactly. There you go.
There you
go. I'll do my best Vanna White.
Oh, I'll on it.
Anyway,
I was hoping you do your best Terry Crews. Come on. Let's see him pop. Close enough.
You know, if I ripped my shirt off, maybe, but it's cold in my loft, so I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
Anyway, I don't even remember what my name is now, so hi.
It has something to do with your shirt.
Associate producer here at Nerd Caliber. People on the interwebs know me as Wonder Llama. Photography, cosplay, depending on what time of day or what convention you catch me at. I've known these wonderful people for many years now. It's always a good time when we can get together on a Tuesday night and talk about nerdy stuff together. I like that. The first thing I hear is if I rip my shirt off. Sorry, Castro, it's not going to be that kind of streaming event this evening.
That's on our OnlyFans. Just no.
Yes, our Patreon.
There you go. What do we got for promos? So coming up, we have got PAX East in, when is that this year? March?
February 27th through March 1st.
February.
End of March,
So,
end of
March.
February, 1st of March.
Right. Gogo, my dear, will you be joining us at PAX this year? I don't know if I've heard.
I will not. No, I won't be joining you at PAX. It's it's a little bit cold for me. I do plan to make it back up there again, but Greg, if you remember the last time I was up there, you and I were doing a photo shoot outside in 6-degree weather.
Yes, indeed. It was very cold.
Yes, I think that might have scarred me for a little while. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I believe
the
Greg was
funny thing about that is, yes, that has now kind of become like an expected thing at PAX. I've got people who are like, so I'm going to be in an Overwatch skin that's 14 layers of faux fur. Let's go out and shoot in the snow. Cool.
Hold on, we got a whole bunch of new people. Haley, welcome. Mad Scientist Mike, welcome. Castro, as Greg said, or call you Galaxy. Okay, Galaxy, welcome. That's going to be really tough because your name has Castro in it. So calling you Galaxy, which isn't in your name, I don't know that I'll remember that. Mike, are there any PAXs in Kentucky? I believe the closest is the new PAX Unplugged in Philly, which is a tabletop gaming convention.
Or PAX South.
Which is in
Austin? South is San Antonio.
San Antonio.
It's lovely.
It was last weekend.
But that's not anywhere near Kentucky, or certainly not as close to Kentucky as Philadelphia is. So, I believe, if I've got my map right.
They're about equal.
Okay.
Kentucky's not super close to either one of them.
All right, we'll go with that.
Probably closer. Anyway.
Promo, folks. Speaking of PAX, and as I said about the website earlier, if you are in the New England area or the Northeast, or even if you want to just come on out to Boston for PAX East, February 27th to March 1st, but you don't have a ticket, or you only have a one-day ticket, we are giving away on our website, nerdcaliber.com, 5 4-day badges to PAX East coming up in just about exactly a month. Go to the website, www.nerdcaliber.com, click on the article that has a pretty big headline about PAX East giveaways, and all the information is there. It'll take you can click onto a Google form, fill it out, etc., etc. If you wanted to go, or you wanted to give it a try, good luck. Fingers crossed. We'll close the thing. We'll close the whole thing out February 4th, which is our next Tuesday, our next show day, at noontime. We'll then do a random number generator to pick the 5 winners, and we will announce them at the end of our show February 4th. And then of course on the website, social media later on after that, but still. Anyway, so good luck.
Sweet.
Yeah, sweet.
May the odds be in your favor.
Beat me to it. Mike says dogs are your thing. Okay, cool. All right. Mr. Krakowian, welcome to the show. So we're going to dive right into our first topic. Our first topic is kind of sad. Sad stuff. And that is, I don't know if you know who that person is. I don't know if you know anything about what that is from. That is Terry Jones, one of the co-founding members of Monty Python. Terry Jones passed away this past week after a very sad, long battle with dementia. And it's always sad whenever that happens, when one of the most brilliant comedic and historical minds of the latter part of the 20th century is struck by dementia. That's even extra sad in my mind. You may be familiar with him. In this case, he's playing Brian's mother in Life of Brian. Like all Python actors, they all played wonderful roles as women. And Terry Jones certainly did it. His ridiculous high-pitched screeching voice is perhaps best known. Terry Jones was the Spam, right? Spam.
That was John Cleese and Terry Jones, yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then Graham Chapman as somebody in there. But anyway, Terry Jones passed away. Very sad. I absolutely love almost everything he's done, including the thoroughly disturbing to me as a young man, Jabberwocky, which sort of looked at what the actual story of Lewis Carroll's Jabberwocky would have been if it was set in medieval times, and it was disgusting. Like,
Never
anyway,
saw that. Sorry,
go
Greg, you
ahead.
were going to say?
Ooh, it's out there. It is definitely out there.
Yep.
I never saw that, but I will remember. I do. It's weird. It's, you know how the older you get, the more you can remember from your youth, and that's like really screwed up. But I do remember having much older cousins who I absolutely idolized, and they wanted to watch Time Bandits. And as long as I was with my cousins, I could watch whatever I wanted, which meant I got to see a bunch of things a young kid should not have seen, including Time Bandits. I was like, this is adventure. And then I'm like, this is terrifying. And I had nightmares about it for a while. It has stuck with me. So I do think that means it's a success. Like, it's not a failure. If I can still remember visceral things of how I felt when watching this thing, whatever, 30, whatever, some years ago, it's like, whoo, congratulations and rest in power, sir.
Indeed.
Indeed.
So I have a similar but radically different memory and experience from when I was probably of a similar age. Right about the time my family got cable, Monty Python and the Meaning of Life was on HBO repeatedly. And I remember probably 14 or 15 years old, sneaking downstairs at like 11 o'clock on a Saturday night, 12 o'clock, to watch that. And anybody who's not familiar with it, it's basically just a loosely connected bunch of sketches, kind of like Monty Python is known for. And the Mr. Creosote bit, it's the stupidest skit possible. It's basically Terry Jones in the most absurd fat suit, looking like he's about 9,000 pounds. He eats 43 meals worth of food and projectile vomits on everyone and everything for about 80% of the skit, give or take.
Absolutely
It
horrible.
seems like it. It's probably closer to 50%, but yeah.
It's one of those things that's gross and not funny, and then it gets funnier the longer and longer it goes on, and refuses to stop vomiting everywhere.
And
it's
grosser.
One of those things that and grosser. It's one of those things that as a teenage boy, it hit me right in the stupid center. And I laughed so hard, I woke my parents up. They started yelling at me to shut the hell up.
Turn that off.
Go, your face is absolutely merited. It's freaking vile. It's just, it's gross.
It's gross.
But it's hysterical.
Much funnier many, many years later in retrospect. We got a couple of questions. So, Mr. Krakowian, was he the actor who played the horny priest in what? I'm not really sure what that reference is. If you've got more information, ask the question. Where are we here? Mario World, Sonic World. How do you know who was sadder than this one or the famous? So I think you're asking, was the sadder for Terry Jones passing away or Kobe Bryant? They're different things. This is a show about nerd news. Kobe Bryant, while is incredibly newsworthy, isn't particularly a nerd topic. I will mention something about him later on in a different topic because it does kind of tie in. But
so not to derail that, but for what it's worth, he actually was a pretty big Harry Potter fan.
Yeah.
That's
also
literally, I don't watch basketball. I'm indifferent to basketball. Obviously, if you live in America, you've at least heard the name Kobe Bryant. But I have seen many pictures of him in Hogwarts robes. He's got a sorting hat. So minor tie-in.
So he is
really?
He is a nerd.
Sorry,
but it's not nerd news.
I'd say.
Sorry. I was just going to say, from a social worker point of view, you can't compare grief. Like, when somebody passes, it's absolutely tragic. And just because they may be more known world over, like Kobe Bryant, and thus may have more hoopla, it doesn't mean it's any different. When someone passes, it's a tragedy and it's sad, and we remember them. And so, and it sounds like we actually that there's something to say about Kobe, who was an amazing human being.
Yes,
later in the stream. So,
and it will come up later in the stream. So anyway, as you say, rest in power, Terry Jones. If you haven't checked out any of his movies with Monty Python or any of his BBC history series, which are all fantastic, starting with the Crusades and everything after that, go check those out if you're that kind of a fan and enjoy. So, my next topic is kind of a topic, I guess. I did not say your name, you Amazon home device that just lit up, so stop it. I don't know where it got that. Anyway, that's a picture of Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, Brie Larson. And the news, maybe, is that apparently they have actually started production on the sequel, according to an article in Deadline. But it's based on one of Deadline reporters' single sources that is not named, and I've not seen any further actual confirmation of it. So we're going to call this one kind of news, kind of rumor. Deadline's pretty good about this stuff, but we knew it was coming anyway. Yep. But it seems to have started. So, yay.
Yay. I mean, it was a women-led film with female writers, a female director, female lead. People wanted it to fail. It didn't. People dissed on the suit. They dissed on her butt. They dissed on every single thing they could. And it was a blow-away hit. It was fantastic. So, of course, they're going to make a next one. It's just, win. So any rumor that's great. Let's get to it.
Exactly. Made over $1 billion. They're going to make a sequel.
That's
done.
That's a guarantee.
That is a guarantee.
As
1.13 billion to be precise, according to their box office news. That pretty much guarantees a sequel.
Yep.
Even if every single review had been absolutely atrocious, you make $1 billion and change, you get a sequel.
Look,
and they weren't
like Venom too. Just saying.
Yeah. I mean, and again, and I'm not saying it was bad. I enjoyed it very much.
I did too. It had its problems. It wasn't as excellent a movie as I was hoping it was going to be, but it was a good movie.
Yeah.
And it's getting a sequel, so there we go.
That's a good way to put it. It was fun.
It was fun.
Didn't love it. Didn't hate it. Had some problems.
Yep. Mad Scientist Mike, we do not have a Discord. That's probably a good idea. I don't know that we have time to actually man a Discord, because Discord is a live chat thing. Now, you guys, we could create one, and you guys just go to town and have fun all the time.
It's a thought. It's a thought that, because I've been running some Discord for a little bit, so if it's like a weekly, here's a topic, let's discuss, then maybe we can do it. So we'll shelve that, and we shall see. But thank you for bringing up something. Doesn't mean you're going to get it, though.
Yes. Baby Kook, welcome to the show. And Mike, very sharp eyes, catching Mimsy the cat wandering in behind our man Greg there.
Greg has the cat this week. I'm like waiting for mine, who shows up every single time. Normally he's here.
I've got my fish. But,
I've got
my head cast for Dr. Lazarus.
There you go.
That's got to count for something.
It's very cool.
Waifu Chucky, I heard there was a Discord booth. Where? What? How? Why? Anyway, expand on that, and we might be able to answer it. Moving on to our next subject. That is the amazingly talented and, of course, stunningly beautiful Rosario Dawson. This is actually the promo photo used for, I can't remember which season of Daredevil, because it's her character Claire Temple on the canceled Netflix show Daredevil. The news is she's going to be the lead character in the upcoming series adaptation, or at least pilot, for HBO for the comic book 2 series DMZ. It is going to be the showrunner is Ava DuVernay. She's executive producer. Showrunner is Roberto Patino. This is a Vertigo title, so coming out of DC, and is a very near future where America is in another civil war, and Manhattan is a demilitarized zone, a DMZ. It is absolutely outstandingly socially aware, honest, brutal. It's perfect for an adaptation onto series, and Rosario Dawson is a great casting in my mind.
My thoughts on this, I don't, my nerddom doesn't generally follow comics, even weekly comics, the way that Rodney's does. I tend to look at other things, but I learn a lot by what we talk about here, and post-apocalyptic is absolutely my jam. It's my favorite in video games. It's one of my favorite in movies.
So let's just I mean, it's in the middle of a civil war, but I don't know that you would call it, like, society hasn't completely collapsed by any stretch of the imagination,
Okay.
just like it didn't during our previous civil war. It got really rough for a lot of people in a lot of specific locations, but it didn't like wipe out society. So you can't call it quite a post-apocalyptic. But anyway, sorry.
Okay, so that's fine. That's fine. I get it. It was basing on what I've read about this, because again, I've seen DMZ before, and I'm like, I don't know what this is. Again, there's so many comics, and there's so much stuff, and I have so much other stuff to read. But reading all about this, it sounds really, really, really interesting. I really like Rosario Dawson. The premise sounds super good. And okay, you say it's not. It's like world in turmoil.
Yeah, that's a good one. We'll call it World in Turmoil.
That's fine with me too. I'll take it.
Interesting. Well, it was a Vertigo imprint, so it's for adult type people, generally speaking.
Another in its favor.
Yep, there you go. Working against it is it's for HBO Max, and I'm pretty tapped out as far as.
Greg,
yeah.
Hold on a sec.
What?
Spring Glitch Trap, stop that. You're going to wind up kicking everybody else's comments up out of the view. We'll get to answering your question in a few minutes, or as soon as we're done talking about this subject, but please don't do that. Thank you. Sorry, Greg, go ahead.
I'm just saying it's going to be a tough sell to order another streaming service. We could probably
I made this right. It's HBO Max, not HBO. You're right.
HBO
My
Max,
bad.
yeah.
My bad.
HBO Max is going to have Fire and Blood, right? It is going to have the Game of Thrones thing that is actually being made.
No, that's HBO.
I think that's just regular subscription HBO. I'm not sure.
That was Matt.
Let's ask the internet.
Let's ask the internet, and Max is going to have the continuation of Adventure Time.
Yes, that is true. While Greg is looking that up, so we'll get a couple of things back up here. First off, Spring Glitch Trap, welcome back to the show. And sorry for the little bit of slapping there. We don't personally do any of the Five Nights at Freddy's cosplay. We do, as you've seen from our videos, I'm sure, have people who are doing it. We're working really hard on getting one of the better ones back into the suit. That's taken a little bit of work on both our ends and their end. So we'll see how that plays out. And Mario World, Sonic World, you've been hanging on for this. Anybody here have a Nintendo console of any kind that they play? I'm not a console player. I'm PC.
I'm a player, but I don't have one.
I'm an Xbox guy, and
wait, unless you mean like I do, but it's the one that it's nothing fancy. It begins with anyway.
I have a Nintendo 64 in a basement somewhere, but that's not really gonna help.
I've got the Nintendo thing that you go like this with when you're like doing Mario Kart. It's not my favorite.
Oh, the Wii.
Yes, I have a Wii. Yes,
I
have a Wii, and I have the thing that came after that.
The Switch, the handheld plus. Yeah, okay.
Yes, the Switch. We just don't use it that much because we play other games.
Waifu, we have a contributor who dresses up as Chucky or as Bonnie. Sorry, your name is Chucky now. But we're not going to put out the name there um, uh, because the person isn't on the stream and it doesn't matter.
Their
Anyway,
stuff's on our YouTube page. Their stuff's on our website.
yeah.
So just real quickly, Gogo, you're absolutely right. From what I can see, the Game of Thrones prequel, sequel, follow-up, whatever you want to call it, it just says HBO, not HBO Max.
I thought it was HBO Max because there was going to be like 2 or 3 of them.
Right. They canceled one of them, and yeah.
Okay. Anyway.
Regardless, the point being, I don't know if I've got the patience or budget for a 73rd streaming service this spring.
I think
whenever that comes out.
We're all going like, oh, cable. Sorry about it.
Yeah, they're going to have to start doing some combo packages here.
Yeah.
It makes sense that Disney Plus is doing it with Hulu and ESPN because they essentially own all of both of those. But other competitors are going to have to start getting in here. Now, if HBO Max ties in all of its Warner Brothers stuff, now that thing is that merger is all settled, then I could live with essentially having 2. You know, the Disney Plus and its others, and the HBO Max, DC Universe, you know, etc., and then ignore the rest of them. But we don't know that's going to be true. Oh, then there's CBS All Access. Darn it.
Yeah, and
I
I
was going
to say I just signed that up. A, so I could watch Picard. First episode was good. And B, it started last Thursday. Yes.
All right.
It was good. It was solid. It was not, it's not mind blowing. I will say nothing about the episode other than it had Star Treks in it. We are officially a spoiler-free community here on Nerd Caliber, but I enjoyed it. I actually largely got it because I did a vintage Twilight Zone themed photo shoot with some friends over the weekend, and I couldn't find the entire episode anywhere. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna buy it for Picard anyway. So whether or not I keep that after Picard wraps up is less clear.
Yeah, so we've gotten way off topic, but I will agree with you, Greg, that it's a very good first episode. It is, and I put this out in a post to people, to my friends, that if you didn't like Star Trek Discovery because you didn't think it was true enough to either the original series or Next Generation, you will love Picard. If you did like Star Trek Discovery, you'll love Picard. Anyway, it takes the best of both and puts them into something that is thematically more like Next Generation while still being shot like, designed like, and with action like Discovery. So,
yep. Plus, you could just, show up for 40 plus minutes of Patrick Stewart being awesome.
I swear I've never seen any director use a camera to worship somebody's face that was not a supermodel or a beautiful female actress. That director worships Patrick Stewart's face for almost that entire show. And it's actually kind of wonderful. See a 90-something man get that.
He's earned it.
He's certainly earned it. Spring Glitch Trap. I love you all too. Bye. Have fun. There was something else up in there that I missed that we were Mario, Sonic World. Has anybody been to Disney World? Well, yeah, a lot of us have. But we still have a bunch of topics, so let's get going back onto topics. So Rosario Dawson, DMC. Don't know when it's premiering on HBO, but it will be there, or at least the pilot will come out. I'm really surprised they didn't make this right to series, but looking forward to the pilot. So now, that is, of course, Apu from The Simpsons, and the non-Apu in that image is Apu. That is Hank Azaria, the actor that's been the voice of Apu since the very, very beginning of The Simpsons, or since the introduction of Apu, anyway. And the news is that he is going to stop doing it. Under pressure from various communities, maybe, although they certainly held out for years after the first criticism came up that this astoundingly talented but astoundingly white person was doing the fairly stereotyped voice of the South Indian. If you look at his name, he's definitely South Indian. Character Apu, and that created an awful lot of representation, commentary, and criticism, and so on. They decided that that apparently wasn't a problem for them for quite a few years, and until now.
I read this article, and it said that the Simpsons have had goodwill for 30 some odd years. I don't believe that's true. I think there's been a lot of tropes that have been done and done and done over, and they have not kept up with the times. And I honestly, at this point, I don't even know who their audience is. Is it the people they started watching with them 30 years ago? Is it new people? I have no idea. I mean, I remember The Simpsons when I was a kid, and I remember getting off it because it was just awful, in my opinion. Sorry if you love The Simpsons. You can hate. It's okay. But I think this is, it's not, it'd be elementary to say it's about time. It's way overdue. And it sounds from reading different sources that Hank Azaria has been saying for a while, I'm not going to do it. And I think the absolute worst thing that The Simpsons could do then is just be like, well, no Hank, no Apu. No, there are so many talented voice actors all across the globe. It's not hard to find an actual Indian man to play an actual Indian character. And if the voice isn't the same, good. Maybe it'll sound less like a caricature. And I'm sorry, I'm ranting right now because this means a lot to me. But it also brings up my absolute current favorite voice actor is, and I may get this name wrong, Kumail Nanjiani.
Got it right.
Okay. Who is an Indian man who has never changed his voice. And it is heard, and it's just everywhere. And it's so amazing. And I just love it. And not saying that they should then go and find some famous, already, like, you know, their voice. Like, if they're like, well, we want a new voice, we want Apu to be Apu. Fine. Audition people. That's all.
Yep.
Yeah, there's no reason to get rid of the character. Although I think Kumail Nanjiani is probably a little bit tied up, having signed.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying that there are, they're like, again, my point was just that there are beautiful voices out there, and just look for them within the communities from whence they come.
Yep. It's funny you mentioned Kumail Nanjiani. I've been a fan of his for a long time.
Yeah.
And ironically, Marvel already owns him. And since Disney owns Marvel and they own Fox, he's basically already under contract, indirectly speaking. Not really, but
well, I'm
that
not
could
sure
work.
if you want him to go to The Simpsons, because I feel like they have work to do at this point into finding someone who, like, if they want to carry on Apu, make Apu be Apu, like, bring in a new voice, bring in an Indian actor. Like, I almost feel like it would almost be a little bit cheating to bring in Kumail Nanjiani, because that's a voice we all know. Like, I was just watching.
Too obvious.
It'd be very obvious, and to me, it would feel too safe. Like, come on, like, just do it.
So
that's what Nike says.
Yeah. And now we have to give them money.
No!
Darn it! So I have kind of a similar experience to what you were talking about. I started watching The Simpsons when it first hit TV because I'm old, and loved it. And as a white kid from the suburbs, I didn't know any better. I thought Apu was hysterical because it's a funny accent. There's not a lot of Southeast Asian people in the part of Boston where I grew up. So in a weird way, it was almost like an early experience of other cultures. Obviously, it's a caricature. It's not exactly satire, but it's not, it's not altogether kosher. Point being that's one of those situations where it's like, well, when you're at a certain point and you don't know any better, you find something funny, okay. But as time goes on,
something about it.
I've worked with dozens and dozens of Asians from the entire, Indians rather, Hindis from all over the continent, and you realize, all right, this is pretty offensive. As a Jew, I would not. I was going to say, and Krusty is about as stereotypical of a Jewish character as you could possibly get, and somehow it's not quite as bad. But yeah, it's an opportunity to sort of realize that something that worked 20 years ago, 30 years ago, maybe it's time to keep moving or start moving and move on.
I think it was time a while ago. So the fact that they are finally doing it now, maybe, kind of, sort of. Again, I have to wonder who's actually still watching it. Obviously, people are if they keep going, but
yeah, there are people. The Edge. So Simpsons back in the day was at the edge of comedy, and the Edge moved way past it. And so now its audience isn't Edge, it's not youth, it's people who are comfortable with the Simpsons. And
ooh,
yeah,
ow,
yeah, and that's pretty much where it's at. Mad Scientist Mike, to get off this topic here for a second before we get into our next topic, asks, does anyone here like WWE? Personally, I was a fan of wrestling back when I was like 12 and 13, in the days of Bruno Sammartino and Chief Jay Strongbow. But I haven't been a fan since then, so can't speak for the others.
Can't say I have either.
All right. Sorry about that, Mike. I do know that
many... Oh, girl, sorry, hon.
I know that many Nerd Caliber team members and contributors are fans of WWE, including founder and co-owner with me, Manny. He's a huge fan of wrestling. So
I'm going to throw one last thing out there that really, in a weird way, kind of backs up what Gogo was talking about. The Simpsons hasn't been appointment television forever. It was for the first, probably after Conan left the writing room. It just, if it was on, you'd watch it. But ironically, I did happen to catch the episode a couple of years ago. So this all came up. What's his name? Hari Kondabolu, who is who's an Indian filmmaker, comedian, did this show called The Problem with Apu, where he was really talking about representation and the fact that, this is one of the few Indian characters you see on TV, and it's such a broad caricature and such a broad stereotype. And the Simpsons writers, et cetera, basically said, it is what it is. And then as kind of the talk intensified, they did an episode a couple of years ago where they basically gave the middle finger to, the episode was basically like, get over yourself, people. It's a character. Shut the hell up. And it was all but, it was, there we go. Here comes the middle finger and fade to black sort of thing. And so it was especially galling that, it's one thing to not want to engage with addressing that. It's another thing to basically just.
That's one of the things that spawned Aziz Ansari. There was a whole thing in his Master of None series where he's a Muslim Indian with an American accent. And this is Aziz Ansari issues aside. Right now, we're just talking about the whole idea again, and him trying to be an actor and wanting to just be like, I'm an Indian American, this is what I'm about. And they're all put on the dumb accent. And it referencing Apu. And it it definitely, for the Simpsons people, for Matt Groening, just be like, nah, it's like, no, you've impacted a lot of people and a lot of things. Anyway, I'm done.
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
done. I had a thing about this, but I'm done now.
All right. Yeah. So that basically, Greg's description there was kind of what I was referring to without going into depth. When I said they had basically said, well, it's not a problem for us. They did say it's not a problem for us in an episode and in a very, slap anybody who's complaining sort of way. Queen Foxy Mendoza, Queen Foxy 1987 Mendoza. Queen Foxy, that's what we'll go with. Hello, welcome to the show. Moving on to our next topic, and this is where we get into some more things. So this is an image from Sunken City, which is a game based on the Cthulhu mythos created by H.P. Lovecraft. I picked this because it's one of the better images from any sort of Cthulhu-related content of the last few years, but it actually has nothing to do specifically with this particular topic. It is about an H.P. Lovecraft series that is in the works that looks at the idea that Lovecraft wasn't making this stuff up, that it was an experience for him. Oh, nope, my bad. That's the wrong Cthulhu. This is a game called Fate of Cthulhu. Sorry, folks. I've got my wrong thing that people are complaining about Cthulhu and Lovecraft. That was a topic for a couple of episodes.
There's so many, though.
There are so many. So the idea is this company, Evil Hat Productions, is creating a tabletop role-playing game called Fate of Cthulhu, and just like the TV series that is planned that I mistakenly mentioned, instantly complaints came out about, why are you doing this? Why are you making a series, or why are you making a game that's based on the work of a absolutely horrifically blatant racist? If you look up any of the information about H.P. Lovecraft, he was, wow, was he a racist? And the creators of the game and one of the producers of it basically made statements and made comments saying, hey, look, we acknowledge within the game, it's part of the game, that Lovecraft is a racist. So we are letting you know that you are playing a game that was based on mythology created, intellectual property created by this horrible racist person, but the intellectual property influenced almost every kind of horror you've watched from the moment it was created until now. Guillermo del Toro would not exist as the kind of creator he is without Lovecraft, without the influence of Cthulhu. And they said, so if we're going to make a game based on this incredibly influential intellectual property, and we are making it blatantly obvious within the game and the gameplay that the creator of it was a racist, what's the problem? And I'm not really sure that they're wrong there. And this gets into a little bit of when I mentioned at the beginning of the show or earlier in the show when I would talk about Kobe Bryant. So a lot of people have made a lot of commentary about the idea of separating either creator from the created, or talent from the owner of that talent. And there have been a lot of comments about that lately about Kobe Bryant. And you got to realize that Kobe Bryant was credibly accused of rape. He was found not guilty by a jury, but he himself went on later on to say, look, back then I really made a mistake and I didn't understand when I thought what I thought consent meant, I was wrong. So that's kind of a roundabout.
The reason why I said nice things earlier. Anyway.
Yeah, well, but since then, and maybe you hate Kobe Bryant not because he's an credibly accused rapist. Maybe you hate Kobe Bryant because he is one of the people who changed basketball into a celebrity-driven ball hog type of game, and it was always on the court, always about Kobe and nobody else ever. LeBron James wouldn't be as big as he is if it wasn't for Kobe Bryant. But since then, he has become one of the most revered mentors in all kinds of sports, in addition to basketball. He is held up by everybody, even people who hate him for being a accused rapist, as one of the best examples of a good father among celebrity figures that you could possibly find. He grew. He grew as a person and changed. Lovecraft didn't. Lovecraft didn't get a chance to, or if he did get a chance to, he certainly ignored it and was a racist until he died. But he also created something undeniably brilliant. So you can hate the person and not hate the creation. You can hate the celebrity for what they were at one point and not hate that person after they were no longer a celebrity or no longer the same kind of celebrity. It's a complex world, folks. You're allowed to hold complex opinions.
Like, it very much reminds me on a much smaller scale, because sexism at no point in time actually equates to, I mean, it can contribute to the idea of rape culture. And again, as a former social worker, I followed a lot of the Kobe Bryant stuff, and I do feel that this is a human being who did a lot of inner penance and did a lot of work. But it reminds me very much of being able to still be a Doctor Who fan while absolutely hating Stephen Moffat and how he treated women and his wife and all this and that, and the sexism that surrounded it. It's like you can still love the women characters and you can still love Doctor Who while very much condemning, especially the off-camera things that the showrunner was saying.
Exactly. Greg?
Yes. Yes to everything both of you guys just said. Lovecraft is one of those guys that I have a seriously hard time with. I'm Jewish. I lost family in the Holocaust. I can acknowledge the fact that this man kind of created a whole cloth, sort of an imaginarium, if you'll pardon the stupid word there, that is unparalleled and is the foundation. It'd be like, if the only parallel I could think of was if it came out tomorrow that, J.R.R. Tolkien was secretly a massive racist and anti-Semite. Man, that'd be a tough one for me because I'm a huge Tolkien fan.
Definitely a bit of a racist in there.
A little bit. I think most white Anglo-Saxon Brits of a certain era, a lot of a sexist, yes.
Yeah, a lot of sexist.
Lovecraft is hard because he was so virulent. He was so, say the soft parts out loud. Another, a good example for me is Orson Scott Card. Loved all of his stuff when I was a lot younger, and then I found out what an absolutely virulent homophobe, virulent alt-right troll the man is, and I'm like, look, I loved some of his books, but I will not buy another property because I don't want any of my money to go into his pocket. So it's a personal decision. There are some, and it's entirely subjective. I know people who will say, I'm never going to watch Kevin Spacey in another thing again. Yep, I can acknowledge that he was great in such and such movies or TV, whatever. But what he did and how he's responded is so irredeemable.
Yeah.
So it's, it's personal. And it's subjective. If you can get over that, cool. If you can't, cool. I'm certainly not. I'm just voicing my opinions, not here to tell people what they need to buy or not buy, and just be aware of it and something to applaud in the case of these of the company that's publishing this game. That not only did they kind of put some information out there on Twitter, but in in the game itself, one of the first pages is a big chunk of information about what a truly deplorable human being H.P. Lovecraft was. So kudos to them for using the property, but making sure that people are aware of it. And if nope, there we go. Some more four-legged creatures coming on camera with us.
Screen every time.
That's a chunk of a Siamese. Wow.
Really is.
Wow.
Hello.
So while we're all admiring the beautiful cat, hello nerd, welcome to the show. Hello nerd. Deleted your very last comment because you don't need to say that about yourself. You asked a question that I think wasn't what you wanted to ask, and then you said never mind. So that's cool. We're all cool here. So feel free to ask another question. Jump right in with something. Queen Foxy, hello again. It's me from last time, if you remember. Queen Foxy, I'm old enough that I don't remember what I had for lunch yesterday. So, sorry, I do not. I'm sure you were a lot of fun and asked a lot of really cool questions. So keep asking questions. Yeah, it's a complex topic, and however you feel about it is right, unless you feel like you really want to support the individual Lovecraft. Then you're wrong. That's just there's no way around that. You're wrong. Um, but he's dead, so it doesn't matter. Moving on to our next topic. I don't know if you saw this, folks, but the trailer for season 7, the final season, the welcome back, let's wrap all this up season of Clone Wars dropped, and it looks freaking amazing. Now, I got to say, I'm going to leave the driving of this topic mostly to Gogo and Greg if he's up on it. I didn't watch Clone Wars after the first couple of seasons. My main awareness of that being a mistake on my part is just how unbelievably deep Clone Wars was in creating the world of The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Clone Wars.
Oh,
And yeah, so what did we think of the trailer, Clone Wars fans?
go ahead, Greg, because I'm going to squee a bit. So,
No, go for it.
Squee
So
away. Squee away.
I'll just real briefly wrap up then. I watched the first probably 4 seasons and I didn't stop intentionally. It just kind of it left TV, and then when it came back, it just wasn't on my radar. But as someone who, I mentioned I'm a Tolkien fan, as someone who loves the Silmarillion and all of the backstory, the canon, absolutely loved the Clone Wars because they went to the Jedi Temple and the Sith Temple and fleshed out a lot of backstory. So I would call myself a fan, but not a super fan. But since we have a super fan here, go.
okay.
Go.
Okay, the Clone Wars animation, it absolutely ranks up there as one of my absolute favorite Star Wars adaptations, or Star Wars incarnations, I guess you can say. One thing I really like about it is that, I mean, there were multiple seasons. There was clear delineation. Like, you really, really got to see. I think they did Anakin so much better. I mean, Darth Vader, he is this icon of the world. He is this icon of science fiction. And I mean, sorry, Hayden Christensen, maybe it was you, maybe it was the writing, maybe it was everything. But really, in the animation, we get multiple arcs of where we start him out as this sort of bright-eyed, quipping, like sandy-haired kid, like you basically see with Hayden Christensen as the actor and whatnot. And one thing I absolutely love about this, as someone who's done production and worked on hair and makeup and whatnot, is in the animation, as time goes on and he encounters more and more of the dark side, you get to see dark circles under the eyes. His hair starts to change. The way he holds his face goes from like, hey, to like, and it's absolutely excellent. It's like you're seeing an incredible actor really take on the role of turning to the dark side. Why you don't laugh at me.
No, I'm laughing because yes, you do. Unlike the opportunity Hayden Christensen was given in 2 full-length movies, and
I know,
never even came close to.
And another thing that's so great about this, especially for Star Wars fans, is you can kind of go back and pick and choose. Like, if you really want to watch some battle scenes, there's a ton. If you are one of those people that's really into like Padme talking about politics, girl, it's there for you. Have fun with that. Like, that was never my jam. One of the things that I saw when I was looking at this one of the things, especially after also watching most of Rebels, Star Wars Rebels, which is also supposed to be canon, but I'm sorry, I'm such a Star Wars nerd, but I did give up on it after a little while. I'm going to go back to it. Is that it seems to be like if they don't know what to do, they throw Darth Maul at the wall. It's like, oh my God, here we go. Darth Maul's here, and it's like they put him through so many things. He died, he comes back. It's like, is it because they have this incredible voice actor who talks with such gravitas and he chews the scenery? It's like, okay, I'm here for his voice. But he shows up way too much, and his continuation is way too spotty. And I don't know. But again, I'm very, very, very happy. And I just want them to hold to the standards that they did, because when you watch and if you go back on Disney Plus, if you're new to this, I will say you don't have to watch everything in continuum. There's so many arcs. That's a nice thing about picking it up. But I really like seeing, like, at this point, we see Anakin. He is like, you see, this is a man changed. You can really see.
Now, Queen Foxy loves Star Wars. She says, I love Star Wars. It's my favorite. Excellent. So a couple of things on that. I think with the whole Darth Maul thing, I think that some people in power think they need a Darth Vader. They need a singular, overpowering evil, villain to always have, what your attention is drawn to, and to be, the opposite of the heroes. And from what I understand, based on some things I've watched that filled in Mandalorian pre-lore from Clone Wars, is that Clone Wars in its latter couple of seasons was a lot more like The Witcher was, in the way it deals with people in power and politics. They're a lot more complex. People's alliances change based on what they think is best for the people they represent. Whether it's Satine, or whether it's what's her name from the Black? Gosh, I can't think of her name.
Satine, and then there's Sabine.
Sabine, the Mandalorian.
Sabine was in Rebels. She's the Mandalorian.
Yes.
And she wields the Darksaber.
Yeah, but there might be. Yes, it is her. You're right. But these characters, their allegiances to whether it's the Empire or the Republic or what have you, shift and change, whether it's to the Sith or the Jedi or to the Mandalorians as a separate and non-aligned group, change based on the needs of what they think the people that they represent need. And it's way more politically complex than just, hi, I'm a really evil guy in a really black leather outfit with a helmet. Not to take anything away from how incredibly iconic Darth Vader was, but you don't need that if you've got good, complex plotting and narrative to go around it.
If you've got, yes, absolutely. I agree with you completely. There are and that's a tricky thing, that when I've talked to certain people about them following the Clone Wars animation, they're like, well, there's so much subplot. It's like, I know, it's so great. But there are so many characters, and really, it was not only really exciting to rewatch some of the Mandalore stuff in the Clone Wars before or after the Mandalorian came out, but also, if you are a giant Star Wars nerd like I am, and if you haven't watched the Clone Wars yet, or if you have, you'll know how awesome it was to see a bunch of the things that show up in animation in the Clone Wars, like that weird, weird ways that they, like, even when they're like boop 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 opening a thing, and it's like, I know what that looks like. I've seen that animation. Or that weird, like, eyeball thing that comes out and looks at you. It's like womp 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 womp.
That's actually from Empire Strikes Back.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes, it is.
Yeah, that's Jabba's guardian thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're a fan, definitely check it out. It is coming on Disney Plus on February 21st. So hey, less than a month, folks.
Oh.
Like all Disney Plus things so far, which is The Mandalorian, really, it will be released weekly, not bingeable like on Netflix. So I actually think
that's how they get you.
It's how they get to. The first one's free, man. Yeah, and I really love it. I love the speculation that I've seen that a lot of this takes place in the Siege of Mandalore. And I think that would be really cool. It makes sense to have it that kind of a close tie-in to The Mandalorian, another Disney Plus series. Anyway, what am I missing? Mario and Sonic World, because I'm Sans. I don't get what your questions are, Mario and Sonic World. These last three. So try again, and we'll try to answer it. All right, moving on from the sublime to the sublime and ridiculous. That is Scarlett Johansson. That is Scarlett Johansson in the movie Under the Skin. That is a movie that years and years later still kind of makes me, tilt my head and go, what the flock? It's now 7 years on. This movie came out in 2013. It is a science fiction movie where I even hate to mention what's going on here. Scarlett Johansson plays some very strange character that sort of seduces and kills men in Scotland. And that is about the most normal way you can describe what goes on in this movie. Nothing else in this movie could be described that simply and easily. It's weird at a level that, makes mushroom trips look normal. But not that I've ever been on any, just to be clear. But
day's not over.
Day's not over. But the news is apparently the studios the production studio, the financier, and the actual studio that made this are sort of in some sort of legal bidding war over who gets the rights to turn this into a TV series. So the news is they're trying to turn this into a TV series. And if you've ever seen the movie, it wouldn't play on anything except like HBO late night. Unless they toned a lot of it down. And if they did, it just wouldn't be the movie. The closest thing to how weird this is, without nearly the same level of things you can't show on TV, was the Hulu series The OA. And I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it is iconically bizarre. And Under the Skin is weirder than that by leaps and bounds. So I don't know how this could possibly happen. If it does happen, if it lands on HBO or Showtime or whoever, or a streaming service, like Netflix or something, where they can do it justice and say, hey, it's TVMA and then some, then great. If it winds up on even basic cable, even the ones with the edge like FXX, no, I can't see how it could work. Have either of you seen this movie?
Nope. I had to look it up. I vaguely remembered it when I looked it up, but never saw it. Don't know anything about it.
So I recommend it for just some of the most amazingly creative directorial vision. It's like. Have you seen The Fountain, Darren Aronofsky's? It's weirder than The Fountain, and again, that's saying something. It's like a Terrence Malick film with horror and violence.
I don't want to see it.
It's brilliant.
Sorry.
It's brilliant.
Sorry about it, but no, I'll pass.
It's much less horrifying and violent than Midsommar, but it's in that same vein. You're kind of not really sure what's going on until the very end. But anyway, that's just that news. it's this deep into the show because I think it's a brilliant movie and I think everybody should watch it. But I don't see how they could possibly turn this thing into a TV series. But since nobody else has any comment on it, we're moving on to our next topic, which is also going to be, well, it's actually going to be a movie, but it's going to be an anime movie, and that's it right there. That is, of course, Geralt of Rivia and Yennefer. Nope, my bad. That's Inuyasha and his girlfriend.
Kagome? Oh, God.
Can you see it? Am I wrong?
I mean, is there any difference,
actually,
really?
I can't see it, but when you say Inuyasha and his girlfriend, I'm just like,
Oh, I've never watched the series, so I have no idea who she is.
Kagome.
I mean, there you go. You've got long gray hair and a sword, and the woman has black hair. It is the same show.
It is exactly the same show.
Well, I'm not seeing what you're seeing. I'm seeing both of you. So.
Anyway, so we'll move on to. We'll move over to the actual image. That's Henry Cavill that just popped up on your screen, as of course The Witcher in the Netflix live-action series. The news is apparently Netflix is actually going to be making a Witcher anime film, not a series, but a film, for reasons. The Witcher: Nightmare of the Wolf is what it's called.
Okay.
I mean, I love me some Witcher stuff, but Mario World and Sonic World, goodbye. Thanks for showing up. So, what do we think? Do we want an animated version of like a side story to the Witcher books game series?
Well, as I had mentioned earlier, I mean, it looks like it's being made by a lot of the same people. I mean, the animation looks like it's going to be really good because it's like by the Legend of Korra people, and that is awesome, and that was absolutely beautiful. But if the story's like the series, then I don't know.
So I'm guessing you didn't like the series.
Well, I'm still only on episode 3.
Oh, okay.
That's as far as I got.
I am working my way through it. I take it to the gym. It is on my iPad, and I'm like, I will watch this. And I'm like, I don't know.
So I feel like if your attitude is, this is something you got to get through, you got to power through it. It's like the worm in the bottom of tequila. You just got to get there. You got to polish it off. It isn't your thing.
Probably true.
But sexy men with white hair who have magical powers, who talk to their horse, that is absolutely...
You mean Sean Connery?
My favorite Bond. Thank you very much. But yes, no, that is
your favorite Spanish Egyptian?
No.
Highlander. The character he played in the movie Highlander.
I remember, and I'm sorry, he was the peacock, and at that time, even then, I knew he should not have been Spanish.
But he was Egyptian, who his latest version of his name was Spanish. So he's a Spanish Egyptian.
Again, if we want to go back, I'm like, wow, maybe that was my first like instance of being a social justice warrior person. Like, where I'm like, wait, that's James Bond. He's Scottish. My grandpa's Scottish. Why is he wearing that color makeup? Seriously, but never mind.
When they very easily just could have made him the same character but Scottish.
Exactly. No reason to make him Egyptian, other than to tie in whatever sort of depth of history they wanted.
We were talking about The Witcher. Didn't mean to sidetrack you with the Sean Connery accent.
No, but I went there. I remember.
Gogo, I am squarely in the same boat as you are. I watched the first couple of episodes. Didn't do a whole lot for me. I found it extremely scattershot and confusing and hard to follow. And frankly, I don't quite understand why the whole toss a coin has become the zeitgeist moment here, because I wanted to reach through the screen and rip out that guy's freaking larynx and beat him to death with it if he was still alive.
He should have.
Which, okay, maybe that's the point, but anyway. I will hold out on this one. I'm curious when I mean, the articles that we're looking at say it's a quote unquote anime film. So will it be that, Inuyasha-esque style, Legend of Korra style, or will it be a more sort of Western looking animation movie? Doesn't matter. It'd probably be pretty funky and interesting either way. Just curious.
Just let it.
Go ahead.
If it's no, I was just gonna say, again, I'm a big gamer. I love to play video games. I'm a console gamer. I just don't do really well playing long term like role playing games on my own. I get bored. So my thing is, fighting games, survival horror, co-op games, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I've known what The Witcher is for so long through cosplay and fan art and all this. And like, I've read stuff online. I'm like, this sounds fascinating. And then when the series came out, I'm like, I can't wait to watch it. What the hell is happening?
So I will say, I don't know if I've said this in any of the shows that you guys have been on, but in my critique of it, in my review of the series, I mentioned that the narrative structure sets up kind of like a Tarantino movie in that the story jumps from point and point back and forth in time without telling you why or where it is, and you don't get a good sense of that until Queen Foxy, are you saying bye or are you saying bye to Mario World? Either way, hopefully you're hanging around with us. Until about episode 7 or 8. And at the end, it really does pay off. It really ties together, and you understand why the narrative structure was built this way. I get it. For me, same thing. I'd be going, wait a minute, why is this person now here when we just saw them in a situation where it's pretty clear that they wouldn't be around anymore? And it is very confusing. It does pay off at the end. I don't know whether you want to go through all of that or not. And Greg, you're 100% right. Jaskier, he should have died in the first episode he shows up in. God, I just finished playing through Witcher 3 and both of the DLCs. I just finished the last DLC earlier today. And he's less offensive, but not by much. He's a more interesting character because they actually write him to do more interesting things. And I assume that's the way in the book as well. In the TV series, he's pretty much the default comic relief, and that's it. And it's played badly. But anyway. I think it's great. I love the fact that, as you said, Gogo, this is being done by the same Studio Mir that did Legend of Korra. It also did Voltron. So the animation.
Oh gosh, Voltron, so fun, so good. Korra, iconic, absolutely legendary. But you can have like the best look in the world. It's like same thing with you can have like the best actor in the world if you give them absolute to say and do, then you're gonna have a crap. Like I want to keep it. I want to keep this clean.
Quick aside.
Anybody like to toss a coin to the Mimsy?
I'll toss. There you go. Toss a cat food. Queen Foxy is leaving. Bye, Queen Foxy. Come by for the next show. Real quickly, an aside, sort of you talked about bad actors. Getting back to just something that came up when you were talking about Hayden Christensen. If you haven't seen it, watch any part of this last Saturday's Saturday Night Live where Adam Driver is the host. Particularly even just his monologue. His monologue was clearly written and scripted. He doesn't ever look at a cue card, and it sounds like he is because he's supposed to be just doing this off the top of his head. It sounds like he's doing this off the top of his head. It is the smoothest performance I've ever seen an actor do on a live show, particularly Saturday Night Live. And I just happened to be flipping through some YouTube stuff, and I saw a compilation of like football stuff from Saturday Night Live. One of them is Adam Driver as, I can't remember which, it's not Phil Simms. Oh, Chris Collingsworth. And the same thing. the other people, the other comic actors that are on there, you can occasionally watch them doing this as they're reading back and forth from a cue card. Adam Driver never once looks at a cue card, ever. How does that guy memorize stuff that people who are doing this every single week for years still can't? And his comic delivery is perfect. So, anyway, that's a Star Wars actor who is really, really good.
I really like Adam Driver. I absolutely love him. I love how funny he is. I love how much he's played into the meme of dogs that look like Adam Driver, which he continually retweets. Sorry. I loved his little stint, his voice acting stint as a nude model on Bob's Burgers, where
I missed that one.
In a Christmas special, where it was absolutely fantabulous, and you're like, okay, boy, okay.
Yep.
I will say, from having known and people who are more up to date on Saturday Night Live can correct me, but I used to have a friend. Actually, I have several friends who were interns and junior writers on Saturday Night Live, and the weekly people generally have very little time to learn stuff, so they get their cue cards, whereas the the guests who are planned way ahead of time, there's generally a bit more preparation. And then with some characters like Stefan, I forget the guy who played him,
Bill
but
Hader.
the whole
Bill Hader.
Bill Hader is that they'd put stuff up for him to read that he had no idea. So he's like, and so this week the thing, and it was part of the joke.
That was part. John Mulaney wrote most of that stuff too. So
yeah, he wrote most of those.
Yeah.
So the Gogo just actually tie both of those points together. So I actually did watch a good chunk of this past week with Adam Driver, and it really is such a good example of he's a great actor. He's got good range. The writing is lousy. It's not funny. Yes, the monologue was very fluid and smooth, but the undercover boss thing was painfully not funny. It was trading on, hey, you remember when he did Matt the radar tech? That's funny. Let's do that again. There was one or two bits that were funny a little bit. I think I laughed maybe twice the entire time, and most of the rest of it was just kind of painful.
Yeah, I disagree. I agree 100% about the update of Undercover Boss. It was absolutely tough to watch. But I thought the cold open was hilarious. It was bordering on transgressive as inappropriate as it was, and they haven't been that inappropriate in a long time. I laughed my ass off on the cold open. Just Alan Dershowitz in hell. It's just it was great.
And Kate McKinnon as the devil.
Yes, who was a huge fan of Alan Dershowitz.
Yeah,
clearly.
And Adam Driver as none other than Jeffrey Epstein. So, yeah, that's
definitely missed all that. So.
Yeah, and then I thought his monologue was very funny. Taking a piss at himself and his reputation of being kind of difficult to work with. Anyway, moving on to our last topic. Boy, are we way long, so we're going to jump right into this. That right there, folks, talking about animation, talking about Netflix, that is a scene from the trailer that just dropped of the upcoming Ghost in the Shell anime series on Netflix, or anime series or anime movie. Let me get this right. The series. It is 3D, obviously, computer graphics. And I'm going to let Gogo jump in on this first because, boy, does she want to say something.
I do. I think it looks terrible. I'm sorry. I think it looks absolutely terrible. I did watch the one with the English subtitles.
Yep.
And it just very, very much reminded me of bad cutscenes, which were great back when they did them like 10, 12 years ago. But it reminds me of like bad cutscenes from, like, oh God, like B or C level fighting games where it's like, and now we talk about our characters. I will fight you. And I'm like, this is almost offensive. Like, this is so bad. Like, again, and I was like, I'm watching it. I'm like, God, this is going to be a terrible video game. And it's like, oh no, it's a movie or a series. Oh no. Again, like when you go back to the source material, which, is again, an absolute cult classic, but, and even in some of these ones where they did the animation, they had the girl, I forget her name because it's been so long.
Major.
Thank you. You're right, the major. And it's like her voice is going winka 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 winka, and she's just like. I'm like, oh no. So I think it looks terrible, and I probably won't be watching it. Counterpoint.
So I'm going to give counterpoint because Greg kind of falls, I think, more in the middle. I looked at this. One, I disagree about the fluidity of the action scenes. I think they actually do those very well. I think that they have learned some things, obviously, from shows like Inuyasha Last Hero, from other 3D IGN, other 3D animated stuff. My one concern about the animation is the way somebody in here describes it. Miguel, welcome from Brazil. The way somebody here describes it as it looks kind of like more like Reboot from back in the 90s than anything modern made with computer graphics. I looked at it from the character design and the motion and the action, and you're going to hate me for this, Go-Go. It reminded me so much of Clone Wars.
No!
It looks, from a character design and from a direction, from the way the close-ups on characters and so on, it looked to me like a Japanese animation version of Clone Wars.
Agree to disagree. I love you to bits, but agree to disagree, and we're just going to have to see what happens when it comes out.
Look at Greg in the chat throwing in his Portuguese from a couple of trips to Brazil.
I know 40 words in Portuguese working in Brazil. So, boa noite, Miguel.
But anyway.
I watched the trailer for this, and I thought, oh, cool, Overwatch finally made a movie.
Yep, all right, I'll buy that. I'm
sorry, when I said, oh, cool, that was a bit of sarcasm. The style looks like it looks like Overwatch, Fortnite, that same sort of cartoony without being deliberately, Mickey Mouse cartoony. I don't know. I kind of couldn't get past that. I don't play either of those games, so maybe I'm not their target demo on that.
I can see that. I can see that. I also see in this article that they state that one of the complaints is the nature of the CG, not just the look of it, but more in line of what Gogo was saying, the feel of it and the action and the movement. And they compare it to some CG stuff that has been made that is leaps and bounds beyond what this seems to be based on the trailer, particularly Land of the Lustrous. And that is true. This doesn't look anything like Land of the Lustrous, and Land of the Lustrous was probably the best 100% CG animated anime made in the last who knows how many years. From character design, from direction, from action animation, it's outstanding. And this is not that. There's no question it's not that good. It's by leaps and bounds.
I mean, it's really reminded me, and again, this is like, it reminded me of cutscenes from Resident Evil 5, which is now probably 8 years old, which I loved and I still love, but we've got a little further. We're moving along, and so I'm like, oh. I I mean, honestly, if this was a game, maybe I'd play it, and I'd just deal with the choppiness. But I don't know that I can watch it.
We gotta say,
Well,
according to this thing, the director of this is, or one of, there are two directors apparently, is somebody who directed an adaptation of another manga written by the creator of Ghost in the Shell, and the writer and another director did also Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, which everybody, not everybody, but many, many people love. So it's got the stamp of approval of two people who are deeply, deeply associated with Ghost in the Shell works up to this point. So they like it, I think. Miguel, speak Portuguese, please. I think you've almost tapped out Greg's limit on Portuguese. I have 0. And I don't know about Gogo, but
I'm sorry. I used to have when I traveled in Europe, I knew enough to get me a cup of tea or a coffee or a drink and get me to the bathroom.
there you go.
That's long gone.
Sorry, Miguel.
Sorry.
But Greg, hit him with that. There you go.
That's closing in on about 25% of the Portuguese I know.
Okay. Anyway, so April this year, you can find out whether or not this will suck as much as Gogo thinks it will be as good as I hope it might be, or will just be kind of meh.
So that's a thing that just happened.
Exactly. I'm sorry. Were you trying not to make it clear that you thought it sucks?
No, I just think it's really funny.
Okay.
Because now it's become a thing, and we're gonna have to see how it goes.
Absolutely.
I'm so looking forward to that.
We'll be tracking this one down, folks.
Oh, we absolutely will.
All right, that's it. We went stupid long. Sorry about that, folks, but big surprise. The three of us haven't been on together as a trio in a long time, and well, this is what you get. Anyway, Gogo, you had a plug.
Oh,
You said we were going to plug stuff at the end. If we're going to plug stuff at the end, you were plugging ECCC. That's right.
Yes, plugging ECCC. There's going to be a photographer from Nerd Caliber. I will be there. I'm hoping we can coordinate. But do write into Nerd Caliber. Let us know if you're going to be there. They will let me know. And it's very easy to find me on the internet and keep up with me, and also see me in really cute cosplay and really sexy burlesque stuff, because that is what I do. It's very easy. Gogo Incognito. It rhymes. GOGO space INCOGITO. That's all you need to know to find me.
Cool.
There you go.
And before we get to Greg, Miguel, I do hope you can make it to the States someday. Thank you very much for admiring us and liking our stuff. Greg.
Thanks, everybody. I will be at KatsuCon in just about 2 weeks. I'll be there Thursday night through Sunday afternoon. I will not be bringing cosplay because I have a boatload of camera gear to take with me. So I will look something like this. If you see me, come say hi. Tell me you bumped into us on YouTube at some point or other, on the Nerd Weekly, the Weekly Nerd News, I should say. Be happy to grab some photos of you. We put them up in big cosplay galleries on the website. Never any charge. Happy to do it. And 2 weeks after that, we will be, Rodney and I and a big crew of other people, because it's kind of one of our home cons in the greater Boston area, is PAX East in Boston. The last weekend in February. I will probably be in some casual cosplay. I'm part of and photoing a big Fallout group that we do every year. Last year, we somehow managed to get into the publisher's giant. Why am I blanking on that? It's not Bethesda. Is it Bethesda that does Fallout?
I feel like it.
No, you went
anyway, it doesn't matter.
It is Bethesda, but did you go to the Bethesda or BioWare?
Whoever it was that took over the bar and had a big thing there. So they brought us, this whole group of us, up to the front, gave us free drink tickets, took photos with the voice acters.
No,
it was a lot of fun. So if you're,
you should probably not brag about what sort of really cool free stuff you get as a press guy for the people who are schlubbing on their 1 or 2 day tickets. in our audience?
No. It had nothing to do with being there on a press pass. I was, part-time jumping in with several friends who are part of a Fallout cosplay group in
That's
cosplay.
Right. That's right.
Put my press pass under my jacket, put my camera away, and just, crossed from one side of the camera to the other, and just joined them in, in a vault suit.
Revelry.
Much
So,
revelry can
hope
be
to see you
had
guys
at
then.
PAX
If
East.
not, if we don't see you there, we will see you on our next episode.
Speaking of which, our next episode, and PAX East, don't forget, if you do want to try to win tickets, go to nerdcaliber.com, find the article, it's right there up at the top, and go enter for your chance to win one of 5 4-day badges, and you'll see us there when if you get a chance to go and you show up. If you go anyway without winning, we will be running Friday afternoon. I will be moderating, and members of our Cosplay and Photography Expo panel will be on the panel of the Advanced Cosplay Q&A panel at PAX East Friday, 3:30 p.m. Cuttlefish Theater, all the way at the bottom, all the way at the back. And check it out, folks. If you have any questions about a problem in cosplay, how to make something, questions about how to do electronics, how to do foam work, how to sew something, whatever it is, these people know it. They've done all of it, and you'll be able to get your questions answered. So that's us. That's the show. Those are the promos. And don't forget, next week we will be announcing those 5 winners at the end of the show. So hopefully we'll see a bunch of you next Tuesday. Good night, and bye-bye.
Bye.